Testing.
Everyone else's works. Mine should work now. I had such a good
Hello,
intro,
hello.
Okay.
guys. All right. Good. This is awkward now. No. Welcome everyone to our stream about the Lost Starship and of course, what is the Lost Starship? It's our Omega ship that we're going to show you off today. But before that, we have some very special guests. We have the comic writers of The Lost Starship, and that's Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly here. We, of course, have
Hey, everybody.
some of your favorite developers here too. So we have our lead designer, Jeremy Randall, here, our art director, Thomas Marone, our ship artist, Pandas, junior system designer, Alex Endeloff, and senior systems designer, Miko. And I think I'll leave the stage to our guests for now. Let's say hello, guys. Introduce yourself a little bit to our community. I'd say Jackson can start.
Sorry, what was that? I think I missed the prompt.
Please.
We're saying hello.
You just
Oh,
said
hi.
hello.
I think I already said hello. I'm going to say hello again. Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. Yeah, how's it going?
Howdy, everybody. We're Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. We're writing the comics. We're really happy to be here, and we're really happy to see the amazing work that these guys have put into, because we always love what Star Trek Online is able to pop off when it comes to the IDW collaborations.
We've spent a long time now, about 7 years, writing various kinds of Star Trek comics that have had ships translated into the game over time. Obviously, the original USS Theseus from Star Trek Year 5, Bright Eyes, the NPC quest giver from Year 5, whose origin is in that story, as well as the USS Theseus, like modern era, which was released in conjunction with the Star Trek ongoing series, which just ended a few months ago this year. We are creating a new book right now that you'll see behind Colin's shoulder there. That's The Last Starship. It's a brand new kind of totally separated from the shows and kind of separated from the ongoing nature of Star Trek maxi series that we're going to be setting right during that event that Discovery teases out in season 3, The Burn. But where Discovery gets to see that from 100 years in the future, The Last Starship is going to take you through every agonizing minute of it. The Burn kicks off on page 8 and then basically like runs through. So that requires Starfleet to, in the aftermath of that, put together a very new kind of ship. And from that, we get the USS Omega, which is the newest of the ships from our line that are found their way into Star Trek Online. So we're incredibly excited to be here, and always really thankful for the efforts of this team. It was kind of a dream that maybe we'd get something in the game someday. The fact that now they're like I could fill a little fleet with ships from our run makes me very happy.
That's very good.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you guys here. I think for any viewers who don't know, let's do a quick round of introductions for the Cryptic folks. I'm Thomas Maroney. I'm the art director for Star Trek Online.
I'm Jeremy Randall. I'm the lead designer. Miku.
Hey, I'm Miku, and I'm a senior systems designer.
This is also to make sure that all of our mics work.
Right, yeah. Keen?
Hey, I'm Keen, also known as Pandas. I'm a ship artist on STO.
All right, and Alex?
And I am Alex, a junior designer for STO in the systems design team.
Speaking from the void.
And...
I'm hidden.
and Suna has called us all together. Thank you so much for organizing all this.
Of course. I love being nerdy together on work time.
Absolutely. Oh man, we've got a huge crowd today. This is awesome, guys. Thanks everybody for showing up. That's very, very exciting. In fact, I'm gonna do a quick live now. But yeah, as Jackson and Colin were saying, we've done quite a few of these ships in Star Trek Online now. And as soon as I saw the Omega I think Heather, the Star Trek group editor at IDW, sent it to me because we were talking about. So we put the Theseus and we call it the Theseus prototype. It's the Theseus from the end of Star Trek Year 5. We put that into the game, and I reached out to Heather to let her know that we had done that, and I asked, hey, is there anything else coming up that we could do with you guys that you guys are working on? And so she showed me, the Omega. And I thought immediately, like, well, this thing is wild. Like, we have to put it into Stowe because it's just so different from any other, Star Trek ship. And so I'm kind of curious in terms of like setting up the parameters visually for the Omega. What was your involvement in that process and the brief that you gave for a ship that kind of comes out of the chaos of the burn, but is still a Starfleet ship, right?
Yeah. That was a really exciting kind of challenge for us to face because we've seen so often that we're seeing the flagship, and in fact, at the start of the last Starship, we see that ship, the Sagan. It's incredible feat of technology, right? But in order to break that, in order to destroy that, and really kind of create the feeling that of the difference of the back foot that our team is going to be on, we needed a ship that was really kind of the opposite of all of that, right? 90% of all of Starfleet is destroyed. What they have left is dilithium that doesn't work, and the shipyards around Earth, they have to make do with what it is they can find. And that kind of interesting premise, that's kind of where we started, being like, well, if we were looking for old debris and things that might have survived, what can that ship kind of take form as?
There was a sort of simultaneous interest in adding a more like sort of post-apocalyptic kind of dangerous flavor to this ship. And so part of that comes out of the narrative in dilithium being now a useless resource, at least a dangerous resource, one that they can't guarantee is safe in the immediate aftermath of the burn. So the idea of running any ship off dilithium is just absurd. It's extremely dangerous, and in fact, when the Klingons start to do it at the end of issue 1 and the beginning of issue 2, there's sort of a sense that that might mean we're kind of heading backwards into the past a little bit in terms of like the dynamic between the Klingons and the rest of the galaxy. The Omega thus had to have a different propulsion drive, and so what we proposed was that sat, I think, very nicely with the storyline we wanted to tell in general, was a story where the Federation has to make a very dangerous peace with the Borg. What's left of the Borg, anyway, the Borg Cooperative, as featured in at the sort of end of Picard season 2, and sort of personified in our series through Agnes Girardi, who now all these hundreds and hundreds of years later, remains a sort of like Borg queen at the center of that gigantic research project, which the Borg are keeping themselves and not talking to anybody about, and are kind of, and we'll get more into that as the book progresses. But that meant that this ship would need to be laced with Borg technology. This gives us just a great visual indicator. Now we have green as a core color aspect of the ship. We have that sense of sort of unstable and grafted technology that Borg technology can acquire there. That sort of chaotic ripple to the order of the Federation, as it were, right? But I think it also gave us a great opportunity to lean into like, well, we took a piece from over here and a piece from over here and a piece from over here, and we strapped it all together with Borg technology, and we made ourselves a ship. And the ultimate silhouette of the ship looks quite a lot like the original Enterprise, and that's intentional. Part of this is because we wanted the ship to feel like after you get to the 31st century, you're going to be dealing with ships that don't look a lot like what we imagine old Star Trek ships are. That's the Discovery design language that we've seen later on. They still have a Star Trek feel, but you want something that if you're going to anchor this idea of this last starship going out there to do this last mission with its own version of Captain Kirk aboard, it really felt like that's a great time to lean into the classic design silhouette. It really is just one of the most perfect designs in any fiction. So let's embrace it, and then let's undercut it, adjust it, muck it up, Borg it up, and see what comes from that. And that's really where most of the design language from Last Starship came from.
Nice.
And
Yeah, it's
just as a fun little detail, though, within the issue, as you're kind of poking through, you'll find that Theseus is still part of that diaspora that helped build this ship. So we had to do a little bit of a nod to ourselves and play on the legacy a little bit. So in a sense, the
Yeah,
Theseus.
eagle-eyed viewers will note there's one panel where they talk about the frame, and you can see the frame, and the frame is pretty clearly the Theseus frame.
Yeah, it's that's we actually I think have that in our reference when we have a mood board that I might show in a bit when we started talking about building the ship and the little skeleton of the Theseus was one of the images that I got from Heather. Um, but I wanted to, before we dive more into the Omega, I did want to just kind of show you guys. So this isn't an image. This is actually a 3D in the game. But I wanted to show kind of the IDW fleet as it stands because I thought you guys might get a kick out of seeing all these ships together. So obviously at the top we've got the Omega, which we'll be getting into much more deeply here. And then we've got the Mirror Enterprise D, which was, a big part of the. I don't think you guys worked on that arc, but it's still what is a fun IDW arc. Oh, yeah, and Keen's got it there. Then we also have this ship, which I always thought was really cool, the Somerville from the Discovery comics. I think the artist Angel Hernandez designed this for that comic, and we thought it was a really neat design and wanted to put it into Stowe. We also made our own like modernized version of it, and then of course we talked about the Theseus before, and this was another one. When I saw it, I thought it looked really unique, but I also thought it tied very organically into the high contrast like visual style of the Stowe era designs, and it was a really cool bridge between the TNG and post TNG era. So it was a no-brainer that we should put this into Stowe. And then earlier this year, we did a great motion picture era bundle of ships that were all themed around that, the 80s films, right? And so that seemed like a great opportunity to put the Theseus skin as it originally showed up in the comics in the Year 5 comic, put that in the game as well. And what's fun is that players can swap parts between these two ships, so they can kind of customize if they want the old nacelles with the new hull or whatever. They can do that. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun um, seeing these ships come to life in Stowe and thinking about how they look in 3D, and it's a lot of work too, right? To take um, drawings that kind of by necessity are kind of have to be a little simple because comic artists have to do a lot of them very, very quickly and really flesh those out. Um, and when we were doing, I think I'm going to bring this over here. And so this is kind of at the high level our mood board for the Omega.
Ooh, now we're getting into deep spoilers territory.
Yeah,
How the sausage is really made.
yeah. But you can kind of see the things we. Go ahead.
I was just saying nothing. I'm making a good goof, but I interrupted. Continue.
Oh yeah. So we were kind of looking at like some Mad Max stuff and some uh obviously Star Wars has kind of the corners the market on grungy starships. Um, and even some assimilated right ships from Star Trek's past, and all of that kind of went into the progression of the Omega and how how do we break it down? We recognize, like you said, the pieces of existing Star Trek ships, and how do we combine those in a way that is still reads as kind of cohesive, but also very chaotic and interesting. Um, and so, we looked at the different Borg engines and like how to cut up the impulse drives. One of the things we ended up doing was to bring some of the 32nd century stuff tech into it a little bit as we added these fins that are kind of reminiscent of some of the shapes that you saw on the bigger Discovery Fed ships. Um, and then, we kind of refined it. And then this is the final concept art here. Um, of the ship and what we ended up using to as a guide for our in-game model.
And this became honestly then went back to us. We saw this pretty early, and Adrian Bonilla, the artist, saw it and went, oh, well, that's even better than my design, and started using aspects of this design in the book. So you can see as issue 1 to issue 2 to issue 3 progresses, he sort of starts to use a lot of your proportionality. I think aspects of like the detail of your design make it into the ship in certain ways. And as the book progresses, because like the crew of the Omega itself is going to kind of evolve a little bit over time.
Nice.
The book, because the time scale of the book is very wide. We're handling a much longer period of time than a traditional Star Trek series would. It means that we're sort of going to always get a chance to return to this design, muck it up, mess with it, try new iterations, play with it a little bit. So hopefully give you all something to play with in the future as well.
Nice. That's awesome. So, I think before we get back into the game, I want to give you guys a bit more of an opportunity to talk about, why did you like the burn is such a, for people who aren't familiar with Discovery, it's a period where all the warp cores in the galaxy they use dilithium simultaneously explode or nearly simultaneously explode, and this basically causes the collapse of interstellar civilization, and so it was a controversial, frankly, as a story beat, from Discovery, from the showing the future. This happens 1,000 years after TNG, Voyager, DS9, all that stuff. I guess technically 800 years, but who's counting? So anyway, this so like when you think about that, it's really a hot potato, right? In terms of like of all the places you could set a Star Trek story, the burn is probably the most controversial. And so can you guys talk about why you decided to set the last starship there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'd love to, but I just to top it off, that's partly why it's so exciting, right? Like,
Yeah.
because we're part of Star Trek fandom, we know all the conversations that are going around, and it's like, well, there's a live wire, and it's like the big red button where you're like, I shouldn't touch that, but
Right.
maybe it'll be awesome. And I think once we did slap that button, we found that it was awesome.
I think it's also, part of it is that we are those fans, right? Like I watched Discovery 3 when it was airing. I felt very betrayed by the burn. In retrospect, I like what it does. I think there's some really great storytelling avenues it opens up. I understand why Discovery did it as a storytelling mechanism. But as a Star Trek fan, it felt like walking into a room and having them be like, hey, all that stuff that you hoped that you saw, and every victory you ever experienced and every hope you ever had for the future, get rid of that. It all burned. And in Star Trek, which is primarily built around hope and optimism and the persistence of those ideas, that's a very hard place to set a story. And I think ultimately when we came onto this book, as I said, I think when we were chatting offline, the Last Starship is kind of designed to be Colin and I's last run on Star Trek for a little bit. We've been doing this for near on 7. We'll be 8 years in by the time we're done with Last Starship. And I think it's pretty important to us that book be, that we sort of leave everything on the field. And we said almost everything we ever had to say about Star Trek over the course of the Star Trek ongoing run, right? Like that book got Eisner nominated. That book got 2 events. We did 3 something issues of that book. It crazy, like the kind of run you can only hope for for like a big character or a big franchise in comics these days. I mean, we're very, very thankful. So if we were going to come back to Star Trek, it felt like the only reason to do it would be to take something on that felt genuinely difficult, that felt like we had something to say about it that we needed to say. When as we talked about that, we kept coming back to the burn as this idea of this story that really hurt and felt bad. Could we find a way to take that hurt and that feel bad, and in unpacking the actual event, in unpacking the lived experience of the people who go through it, could that feel somehow vital? Could that feel like we could bring some hope back to it? Could we tell a story about people experiencing all of that same frustration that we felt as fans? And in so doing, understand that it is okay to lose sometimes, that it's okay to fall apart, that history is not a straight line, and that curve, though we like to think that it always bends towards justice, often takes a big detour into hopelessness, and selfishness and destruction and despair. And I think as we started to look at what that detour would look like, that felt like to us, to use a perhaps an undue pun, the final frontier for us. It felt like a place for us to look at Star Trek and say, this is maybe the hardest place to tell these stories. Can we do that? Can we put a Borg on the crew? Can we, and not in a way where it's like, oh, we separated a Borg from the, no, like, can we put the Borg on the crew? Can we put grief on this ship? Can we bring Kirk back, quote unquote?
There was another electric cable, and we were like, well, the first button was so interesting and cool. What if we grabbed that one too?
What if we put them together?
Put the
Just as the clock strikes. But that was the point. Is like, what's gonna hurt? What character would it possibly hurt more to become aware of the burn than Captain James T. Kirk, a man who thought he was building an eternal thing and now is watching it fall apart into ash? That suddenly is like a great. I mean, that's to me an undeniable character story about a person looking at their legacy and saying, "How do I possibly save this?" When it seems like it's already slipping through my fingers. That felt like such a vital, interesting story that the burn just becomes a setting. The story is about Star Trek persisting through difficult time. And I think that's kind of the ultimate hope of The Last Starship. Last Starship is not a book designed to be like, hey, Star Trek fans, you always wanted to know what happened during the burn. Let's show you. It will accomplish that goal. That's what it's, that's part and parcel with its effort. But the actual effort of Last Starship is to tell a story that you, a Star Trek fan, can give to anybody you know who isn't one. You can give to any person who likes any other game, who likes any other comic, who likes any other story, who likes any other TV show. And you can say, hey, this is Star Trek, but done in a way that feels like it was written for today, that it was written without some of what I think some people tend to confuse for like naivete or optimism. Like it has that, but it's going to have that through a much more like grounded character lens. It's going to do that in a way that feels a little bit more like the world outside your window, and without betraying the objectives of Star Trek. We wanted to do an ultimate Star Trek, an absolute Star Trek, a Star Trek you could give to anyone who's interested in anything, and hopefully sell them on what is important and vital about Star Trek. And that's what I think the burn offered. It offered us a way to point at the disillusion and danger that we see outside our windows every day, and say, hey, Star Trek can communicate with this too. It can talk about this as much as it can talk about anything. And so that's why the burn. That, and we love a challenge, clearly.
Well, it's interesting, reading reading the first issue, and you have a bit more space in a long form storytelling like a comic series to dive into a lot of the world building implications that I don't think Discovery ever had time to do. Now that we've got 10 hours basically to tell a story over the course of a season, like that's really not enough time to like answer a lot of questions that you would have about such an earth-shaking transformational event like the burn. And so it was really cool to see the moments that you guys chose to show about like, well, how did people react right away, and like how did Starfleet react immediately after it happened, and also, like, I think, right, this is 100 years before Discovery season 3 when the burn happens, so it's also an era of Star Trek technically we haven't seen because it's not quite there, right? So you also get to see that too, which I think is cool. And the and you guys, so we're spoilers obviously for the last Starship, but please go pick it up. And I think the first issue is the only issue that's out, and the second issue will be out next month.
Yeah, second issue will be out in just a few weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. But it opens with the implication that we've almost done it. The entire galaxy is almost under one harmonious banner, and then oops. So I thought was especially just twist that knife a little bit for us.
When you're telling a story about loss, it's important to twist the knife.
Right.
I think it's the cruel prerogative of the writer. Unfortunately, you just sort of have to be willing to do that. But I do think that something you said there is really key. Star Trek as an effort at the very beginning of this book is complete, right? This is the story of what happens when you've taken your effort to its full potential, and then it slips through your fingers at the last minute. And so that story, that world building that Discovery could never do, that that time that Discovery couldn't take. Not only can we take that, but we can do it through character. It doesn't have to be someone saying, "Hey, so here's what happened 100 years ago," because that's inert, that's boring. There's a reason why Discovery doesn't do that. Nobody needs to know that. You need to know what's going on right now. What our characters get to do is, by experiencing it and by living it as people, help you experience it. So it lets the book feel a little more novelistic. The book doesn't have the same kind of mission-based framework that a lot of Star Trek books do. Our characters have missions, but they are, for lack of a better term, not going to like run the narrative. The character arcs are going to run the narrative. The missions are going to kind of help give the plot some shape. And by the end of the book, spoiler alert, are going to be relatively self-determined, because as Starfleet and the Federation falls apart, there's going to be less and less and less admiralty to be telling people what to do. Oded Fehr is not around yet, right? So like figuring out how to turn that around is important. And then I think your point about Star Trek as Discovery not being able to talk about how it went. I think simultaneously what Discovery does do is talk about what it was. So Star Trek Discovery is focused for 10 episodes on what caused the burn. And it's going to do a whole effort to tell you what caused the burn. That frees us from that conversation, which is awesome. Right. It means our book is not a reaction to the burn as an investigation into what caused it. We in issue 1, we say, hey, there's a space station that's worrying about that. We've rechristened it Deep Space Hope. It's going to figure it out. Don't worry. Deep Space Hope's got that on lock. So
that's the mystery
they're going to be doing that. No worries.
You guys need to be the you're the rescue services. You guys need to be on the ground and getting places. Which, exactly, freed us from the need to retread anything that Discovery has already done, already essayed.
I feel like the Omega it's Captain America on that rooftop in you know what I'm talking about in Winter Soldier, where he's holding the helicopter to the roof of the thing, and trying to make sure it doesn't fall apart. Like that's the Omega.
Also, he has his hand on the sports car, which is running out of gas. So he's holding down the universe and driving the car.
Amazing.
That is such a scene suited to Kirk.
Right. So I'm gonna fly around in our. So this is the final in-game model of the Omega. We wanted to obviously include some of the Borg technology. So we've got some static effects here of the nebula sort of emanating from the ship. We've got a nice wide impulse engine. It really feels like we called it the Mad Max starship, right? So we even included some pipes and stuff. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, and we even if you let's see, I don't want to here. Let me pause, and then I can zoom in. We even have the little Borg warp core visible from the outside.
No!
Yeah.
Excuse me, team. What?
That's awesome.
That is genuinely rad.
Does that now that means that I got to go back and rewrite the book so that it's clear that the Borg transwarp core is open to space. You can figure that out. I got that. No worries.
I heard of what? Clear aluminum.
Right, yeah. Transparent aluminum and force fields. It's fine.
Yeah, all good. I love that little beep, 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 beep. Very kind of flash.
The asymmetrical exhaust port is awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, Keen did a lot of great work and Keen, I'll kind of let you talk about this in a second, but we also had some, I think we had some animated like textures here in the warp grills and stuff too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so the model for the Omega was done by Tobias Richter, who is someone that STO frequently works with and to get ship's model for the game. And so he also did the motion picture era Theseus. So one thing that I'm not sure if it was you, Thomas, or if the concept designer who did this, Jamie, known as Scorp Online, did. But one thing that's really cool is if you look on the saucer at the bridge dome, that is taken from the motion picture era Theseus to harken back to what the comic was doing, because the comic has it be using the Theseus's frame. So we used that part of it that we had created for the Theseus and our for the Theseus prototype in our game, and we had it on there, and I think that's really cool.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
if you
so
look
these
at
are
the bridge
the
dome,
Theseus, and there's that same bridge dome there.
yep, yeah,
That's really cool. And that was actually informed the scaling of this guy because we knew that it couldn't be smaller than the Theseus, right?
yeah.
And that's also why we added these little fins. These little fins are meant to be reminiscent of the spars on the back of the Theseus saucer. So that was sort of the translation of that into the 32nd century design. And you can even see the like machinery that would have been under those spars down there underneath. So yeah, I want to shout out Jamie Armstrong Hughes. They did an incredible job kind of working on this concept, that the concept artists who really fleshed this ship out and helped us bring it to life. And then we have we had we layered in, like, that's the refit shuttle bay from the Enterprise, right? We layered that in as part of the just like finding different components from existing ships and how can we put that in there. The dish from, I think it's either the TOS Connie or the Strange New Worlds Connie. I think we kind of mix and match from those designs a little bit too. So it was really fun to um, put this together and give it like a grungy look, right? Like most Star Trek ships don't have that grungy look to them. They're very, all we have to do is like fly over here and look at the Theseus, and we can see like how clean and pristine. And I've heard someone describe Starfleet ships as cathedrals of light, which I really love. Like I really think that's a very poetic way to describe these machines that are meant to be symbols of optimism and hope, right? And I think it's interesting to have the Omega doing its best to fulfill that role, but working with very different circumstances, um, and so I think that's pretty cool.
You guys have done
Yeah.
an incredible job bringing it to life. That's exactly was like our intention, right? Starfleet's got to get this thing out as fast as possible, and we got Borg duct tape holding the damn thing together. So no time for the paint job. Let's go, go, go. And I
Right,
think
right.
really cool. This is just a really cool design.
Awesome. Thank you. I mean, we're really honored that you guys like it. It's a great addition to Stowe, and I think one of the things that, especially in a game that is as old as Stowe is, right? We're coming up on our 16th anniversary in January. I'll get further away, but is finding new. How do you make we've done literally hundreds of Star Trek ships, right? So what can we do that's new and interesting for people that we haven't done yet? And so this was a great a great thing. We've never made a Mad Max style junker ship before. Should hauled away as garbage, but so it was a great opportunity for us to dive into that and detail it out and trick it out, and I think players are gonna really enjoy it. So, is there anything else you guys wanted to say? Oh yeah, go ahead, Jeremy.
I have an art question real quick, if I can interject. So I noticed I was playing around with the ship in the Taylor in prep for the stream, and I noticed that there are options with and without registry. Is that taken from the pages of the comics by chance?
Well,
no,
in the
Keen, you can
comic
talk about that.
itself, well, in the comic itself, we just see it as the USS Omega, but when Jamie was doing the concept art. And I think in some of the earlier art that we received, we might have seen a registry. So I left it in as an option for players, since you can choose your own registry for a ship in game. You can label this ship if you want, or have it have no registry to match the comics. One other thing that I wanted to note on that vein is that this ship comes with vanity nacelles. I think right now Thomas has the vanity nacelles equipped, so we don't have the cool animated grills and facades. If you want to change that, Thomas, the costume is, yeah,
Oh
pretty
yeah,
cool.
this is. Oh,
So,
there you go.
so on the animated components, one of the shots in the comic is of the one of the Omega's nacelles, and we get to see there's like little cloudy bits of green and blue and yellow. And so I did my best to match that effect in the warp grills of the Omega. You can see that it's not just a solid green. There's like little shades of blue and yellow that make up that green. And I think that's really cool. And of course, the facades have the classic TOS style spinnies that you helped me with, Thomas. You helped the with the texture color for this, and I think it ended up pretty cool.
So cool.
Yeah, it adds a lot of life to the ships. But
The you know, the Omega operates by transwarp, but it's sort of a new iteration of transwarp designed by the Borg cooperative, and it has sort of its own principles. I don't want to spoil the game for people who are reading the comic, but there's some interesting complications with the transwarp drive, and as we get into the book, it'll start to drive how the narrative functions. One of the things that we do see in issue 2, however, is that the transwarp actually presents a really different warp effect that feels very cool and interesting and kind of new, that was designed by our incredible colorist Heather Moore. And I can't wait for people to see this in the series, because it's one of the cooler, more striking effects I've seen, and a good portion of it is about how color is used. So I'm really happy to see that same attention to detail here. I think it's a real testament to the work of the STO team, that you guys are so. Every time we have seen you guys translate something, it's not simply a matter of like, oh, how do we put the ship in the game? It's how do we put the ship, like how do we put the vibe of the ship in the game, the feeling of the ship in the game. This idea that you can transition parts across Theseus frames, that's awesome. That's amazing. If you told me that 5 years ago, I'd be like, wow, like insane. Um, and I just discovered that today. That what a brilliant bit of game design that takes from what we always designed that ship to be, which is this interchangeable, ever evolving vessel, and make it something that the players can actually experience as fantasy. I just think that's so cool, man. I'm really impressed. This is awesome.
thanks. Yeah, we I always tell people that Star Trek Online is a Star Trek theme park, right? And so you want to, like, you go to Voyager Land, you go to DS9 Land, you go to Discovery Land, TOS Land, all of these places, we want to be immersive for those fans. And it's the same thing when we want to incorporate stuff from IDW and the stuff you guys did. Well, the whole point of us doing it is to honor the intent and to create, bring to life, the idea behind what you guys are doing. And so that's really important that we capture and are faithful to that as much as we are to anything from the shows, or and we recently did one of my things I'm most proud of is a lot of ships from like past Star Trek video games, like Star Trek Invasion and Starfleet Command and all these like classic games from the 90s, and that was a lot of fun, and upresing those things. But again, it's about bringing the character of that stuff to life. And to that end, I think that's a great segue to toss it over to Jeremy so he can show off kind of the powers and the abilities of the Omega. I think Counselor Suna is just going to need a moment here, but I'm going to stop my stream. And I really appreciate you guys being here to take a look at the Omega and share this with us. It's a really special thing you're doing with the comic, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you guys here, or to have us here, to be here. Words are.
All right,
I'm
guys.
excited to let you guys see some of the powers that we've come up with based on, at least one of them is heavily inspired by the scripts that were written and provided to us. So yeah,
Very.
I'm excited.
Oops, 1 second.
I think we got some, we think we got some material that is not released yet, right? For this.
I actually don't know which episode it came from, or which.
I think it might have been from
I'm
this.
I'm
It,
pretty sure it's not released yet because the first chapter does not feature the thing. So I'm not sure how much we can talk about it, but or,
If they gave it to you,
It's
Well,
okay.
it's-
Talk about it here. It's a nice tease for what's coming. I don't know.
yeah.
yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I think it's from
We'll,
issue
we'll
2,
try
so
to
it's
keep
not
it.
like a super. Yeah.
It's a preview
Also,
of
I'm
next month's comic.
watching you. I'm watching you chat, and I like you a lot. You guys are very enthusiastic.
Yeah, they're
All right,
the
so
best.
let's talk a little bit about the design of the ship. I'm gonna basically just ask Miku to tell a lot of this. She was the primary designer, the stakeholder we call it internally, that actually implemented and did a lot of the design. I provided oversight and some guidance on that front, but most of the decisions were hers. So, but I did want to show before I hand it over to her. This is the no registry variant that I have, just so you guys are aware of kind of how that looks like. If you can pull those things off if you want to. You can't remove the name. I guess you could blank your ship, but no, maybe you can't. But no registry is an option. Okay, so Miku, if you can start by telling us a little bit about the core identity of the ship, like its class and how we decided to give it the core stats and identity that we did.
All right, so this ship ended up being a light battle cruiser. Originally, when when I got the brief for the ship, basically, we got the Mad Max description. All like literally everyone was like, "Oh, Mad Max ship. Let's make this sort of like interesting mix of things." And so, I was thinking originally like we would go tactical just because it's like wild. But then the more I read about it and the more I read the script, I also realized that there was a big talk about how the engineering was sort of modified by the fact that they were working with the Borg. So it sort of evolved into the sort of more light cruiser concept, and this will be something that you'll kind of see in the next chapters, I think. But there will be sort of a maneuver that they do, and so the weapons layout is actually specifically made to respond to like how it was used in the comic. So pretty much,
Yeah,
we want a
we're
4-4
very
layout.
aware that players are much more in preference of 5-3 layouts. Weapons with 5 or ships with 5 forward weapons. But yeah, just to echo what Miku's saying, this was a deliberate choice, and you'll see when we talk about the console and the trait how it helps synergize with this.
We really want to note that when we design ships here, like first and foremost, we take a look at the source material and make sure that like, hey, how do we actually like make this ship exist in our game? We don't just say, oh, this is going to be some, slap some stuff on it. No, not like that. We actually like take a very close look. And with Thomas, with like he sends us all these mirror boards with like pictures and sort of like everything to for us to take inspiration from and draw from. So really appreciate the fact that you guys sent us the forward script, because I read that thing like so many times just to be like, how do I pull the aspects of your writing into into the ship's identity? And that was like one of the days of my task pretty much.
So the focus on engineering comes partly from the board, but if I recall correctly, that's also where we decided to make it a miracle worker ship, again, to kind of further that idea of crazy engineering capabilities on this ship.
And it sort of like gives you that flexibility, since you get that extra universal console for you to do, add whatever piece that you want to your ship, and adds to that sort of like feel of like, hey, I'm sticking parts into the ship to make it better. Basically this concept, and you'll see more as we dive into the starship trait and the console, it sort of supports an attacker that doesn't like to stay still. You can pretty much call this sort of like a running tank, if you will. Sort of like enemies will be wanting to chase you, but you're basically outrunning them and pelting them with your own weapons. And hence why we had the 4-4 weapons layout. The 4 weapons in the back definitely are your hard hitters for people that are trying to chase you. Let's take a dig into the console first, I guess.
Sure. So actually, let's look at the item, the passives. Again, just feeding into some of the maneuverability and reducing transwarps, because again, we knew that there was this alternative to warp drive that we wanted to pay some homage to in the itemization here. But go ahead and tell us more about the power that was designed for this.
Yeah, so despite talking about, like all the engines burning up during the burn, pretty much like this ship is basically the anti of that. Like it's actually really fast, and it's actually really capable of moving. And during the next chapters, Kirk will be doing something that we're paying definite homage to for this console. The sort of fantasy that we have here is that basically Kirk's maneuver during this has been recorded as a console that a bridge officer can press, and so it will basically set the ship to fly much faster. It will make you immune to damage from the back arc for up to 30 seconds or until a certain amount of damage is dealt, and then you also gain increased damage depending on how much throttle you're using. So the faster that you're going with this, the more damage you're gonna just do. It also if you also use the pilot abilities that come with this in the secondary, it will recharge the console even faster. So pretty much you can imagine this as sort of a cycle for you to be constantly fast, and you're basically really able to command your ship in a way where it's like you're given like total control over your ship, not total, but like way better control over your ship while this console is activating, and you're pelting people from behind you, and you're not taking damage from them. So it's yeah, this is like purely inspired off of the script that I read. So thank you guys for it was so awesome to read that and just try to like think about how to translate it.
It's so cool. That's so cool. That's so cool.
In addition, I think we can go to the trait now, because the trait adds to that even more. So this is kind of a unique trait. Basically, as you're moving really fast and you're in full throttle, you'll gain stacks of what we're calling adaptive throttle. And basically, this will increase your damage bonus up to 10 times. So it's 2.5 for the front times 10, and then 5% from the rear. And again, we're talking about the rear, because like you're really able to maneuver the ship and use it in the way that you want. We're encouraging people to try out some backwards fire sort of modes by giving you that 5% bonus in the rear arc that you can use while your console makes you invincible for a little bit. And we're also giving you reduced weapon cost while this is all firing. So basically, you just get a really fast ship that if you like flying fast and you like shooting shooting in all directions and having that capability of like when enemies are chasing you, you're not running away. You're tactically like killing them by making them chase you. Like that's kind of like the feel and concept of this.
I do a lot of like hit and runs in a Chimera, so like this is a great console for me because I'm always flying past the enemy, right? So even though I have most of my firepower up front, there's a decent amount of time where I'm flying past them and turning around. So even something that protects my back is useful on an escort. That's really cool.
Well, in this particular trait, if I correct me if I'm wrong, Miku, but it's 180, 180, right? So you can even potentially, if you're really careful with maneuvering on your broadsides, you can technically keep them in the rear 180 of your ship.
Yeah.
While still having all of your weapons firing.
Nice.
You want to try that?
Yep.
Takes some fancy piloting, but you can do it.
Well, I had my own, the burn when I was trying to build this because it was bugging. Like there was so much technical stuff I was running through, so I was like, this never worked. But eventually, I managed to finally get it, and you can pretty much it is like the entire back arc. So if you're really smart when maneuvering, you can pretty much that like that shield indicator in the back right there, that should pretty much be your indicator of like how big it is, because yeah.
I really like this visual effect. It does feel kind of like something you'd see on a comic book page.
Yeah, this was done by, I think, Andrew Nielsen, our effects artist, senior effects artist. He did a great job. And then I also want to call out it comes default with the minty green, minty fresh phasers from Discovery Season 3.
Yep. And I think that's all there is to the ship. Not to downplay it. I wanted to respond to one thing I saw in the chat, which is, well, why didn't you just lean into it and make it a full-on 3.5? And I'll be honest, I just told Miku not to. I think it was floated at one point, but I thought that was a little too off-kilter for a ship.
Hey, I have it written in my notes right here. I was considering a 3-5 weapons layout, so there you go.
Yep. It's a little risky. I could see a justification for it with all of this rear-facing stuff, but I think that there are players out there who would just rankle at the idea, like, oh, I don't want to use mines. So, we like to keep the appeal for our starships as high as we can.
Awesome.
07? Someone said 07.
07 layout with 4 hangar bays, right? That's the kind of weird ass builds that people have been asking for.
That's the tier 6 Kobayashi Maru is a 08.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, go ahead, Jeremy.
No, I was just going to say, if that's all that we have for the ship, I'm going to need a minute to set up our other preview that we wanted to show. So this ship will be available tomorrow after maintenance, after the servers come back up. And at the same time, we'll be when our Halloween event goes live. So the other thing we wanted to show off on this stream was the reward from the Halloween event.
All right. Well, while you're setting up, Suna, if we
I'm
could
close
kick
my
back to
stream for a minute.
Yeah. Kick back to our faces. I did want to give Colin Jackson the floor again, if there's anything else that they wanted to talk about as far as the Omega goes or the last Starship. I know the first issue is out on comics at comic stores right now, and the second issue I think is coming out in a few weeks.
That is correct. Yeah, Star Trek: The Last Starship #1. You can find it anywhere comics are sold. Unless you can't, because the book has sold pretty well. So we're discovering something. A lot of stores.
What a terrible problem to have.
We're working on making sure that more are available by the time that issue 2 hits. Issue 2 will be out in mid-November. I don't have the date across me right now, but it should be mid-November. Was that?
The 19th, according to my
The 19th.
pre-order from this morning.
Nice.
Love that. So yeah, it'll be out on the 19th. You can, if you're not used to reading comics or you don't really know how to start that process, it's actually very easy. Look up your local comic book store. There's a thing called Comic Shop Locator online you can look up, or you can just, Google comic shop near me. You'll find one. If you can go to that shop or even just call that shop and say, hey, I'm interested in opening up a box, which is basically a pull list. They'll say, hey, I just want to make sure that I always get this comic every time it comes in. Tell them, hey, I want The Last Starship. They'll just order you a copy, and you can just come in and get that book every month. There's also, if you don't live near a comic book shop, there are delivery services available through things like Midtown Comics and Forbidden Planet. So there's other ways for you to contact them and make sure that you get your comic. We do ask generally, especially for gamers and people who I know are used to doing stuff digitally, that you buy the book physically. That's really just because digital comic sales are harder to track, and sometimes the publisher doesn't see as much from those. So the success of the book in large part depends on physical buys, and so that can really help us out. So Last Starship #1, it's out there. This is we are just starting off. We're really excited about that. There's a bunch of different covers available, and truthfully, I think between issue 2 and issue 3, which is where you're going to see where some of that specific ability came from, you're going to see, I think, some of the best Star Trek art ever produced. I think Adrian Bonilla, our artist on this book and the initial designer of the USS Omega, is doing world-class work on this book. And there's some stuff between issue 2 and 3 that are just had my jaw on the floor. So can't wait for people to see where this book is going. We're incredibly proud of it, and we hope you'll join the journey.
Awesome. Thanks so much,
Get
guys.
yourself a physical copy and buy others for everybody for Christmas. That's what I'm
There we go. We love it. Bring your whole family down with The Last Starship for Christmas.
I'm glad you said that, because I didn't know that about the digital stuff. So that's an important thing to note if you want to support your creators.
I wish it wasn't the case.
The
I love digital comics. It makes things much more convenient. But inevitably, physical comic sales are the heart of our industry. So it does really matter.
Nice. Well, you guys are welcome to stick around if you want, but I know you're busy, so if you need to take off,
Yeah,
it's been a
I think
pleasure
I
to
have to
have you.
jet. But thank you guys so much for having us. This was such an honor, and per usual, I can't wait to play.
Awesome. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate
Thank you,
being here.
Same.
and thank you, SEO community.
Thank you for
Enjoy
being
the
here.
Omega.
Yeah.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for being
Thank you to
here.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Live long and
Bye-bye.
prosper, and good luck.
Bye bye.
Yeah, you too.
Are you ready, Jeremy?
I am.
All right, give me 1 second to pull up the screen.
Is Alex ready? Because I'm going to ask him some questions and have
Sure
him
am.
talk about this.
Sure
Great.
am.
All right, I'm gonna turn off your cameras so the players can get a bit of a better look at what we're about to show. All right, 1 second. And we're back.
Hello, and welcome to Halloween. I'm actually not going to be showing off anything of the actual event. Just to confirm for anybody who might have been reading between the lines or making assumptions, the event itself doesn't have anything new this year other than the reward that we're offering. Although we're doing a bit of an art refresh with new splash screen, maybe a new loading screen. Is that right, Thomas?
Yeah. Well, wait.
Okay, maybe that didn't come.
No. No, I don't think
I
so.
think that's
I don't
for the
think so for
winter
Halloween.
event.
We're we're doing no, we are. Okay, sorry. I got we're guys, we got both barrels coming at you for the Halloween and feast event. And I am so excited for both of these things. Um and so I'm in my head I'm so excited, I'm vibrating at the same frequency for both of these events and these event rewards that I often get them confused. And so I think about like, oh, that's for a Halloween event. It's like, no, that's for the feast event, um, and vice versa. But the answer is yes. There will be some fun new key art featuring this new reward that I think people will get a kick out of. But there is also amazing new key art for the feast event coming up that I also think people will really, really love.
And the winter event after that, which we're wrapping up on as well.
All our events, you know.
Yeah, all our events, but these two specifically, I want to say that like, I think people are yeah I think it's gonna be great. So
But the big thing about the new event is the brand new prize. So, Alex, why don't you? I'm going to go ahead and press the button, and why don't you just go ahead and start talking about what's going on here?
Well, as you can see, Frost rising up from the ground, we have zombies finally in Star Trek. Those zombies try to swarm the enemies in front of you, and they try to attack them with putrid bites and vile swipes. And they move as you would expect, very shambly, very grotesquely. And the enemies that get affected by their attacks get infected and take a lot of damage over time, as you can see. Quite a bit of damage.
The zombies sadly don't last very long, but this kit module also doesn't have a terribly long cooldown, so we're hoping that you can resummon your zombies on a pretty regular basis, especially if you're using any cooldown enhancements.
Yep. I mean, obviously, they're barely hanging on to life. Do you think they would last a lot?
So, Thomas, you want to talk a little bit about the zombie artwork? Because I think a lot of cool work went into this.
yeah, so it's really funny. If you've been to a Star Trek convention, if you've probably seen cosplayers dressed as red shirt zombies. There's even been books like satirical books about red shirt zombies. Even the art for the new IGW series red shirts has a zombified or mummified, it's not really a zombie, it's just dead, mummified red shirt. So it's in the zeitgeist of Star Trek. There's a pretty natural connection, right, between the dead red shirt and zombies, and the joke of red shirts always die, and so okay, how do the red shirts get revenge, right? They come back from they come back from the dead and exact their vengeance on those that harmed them, that killed them. So we felt like the whimsical nature of the Halloween event, so the sort of TOS grounding of it with the fall of the
Cat's
old
tail.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, cat's paw themed episode. Made a really probably the best fit we could hope for as far as justifying adding zombies into Stowe, especially as a pet. And and actually there was a bit of a pivot that happened temporarily because we were working on this, and then in Strange New Worlds season 3, they had that zombie episode where
Hmm.
they the last shuttle to Kentori, or the shuttle Kentori or something. I forget the exact name, but anyway, they go to this planet and there are a bunch of zombies and they have to fight Klingons and zombies at the same time. And
They were
we were
like
like, well, they
plant-based zombies. So yeah,
yeah
we were
yeah
talking for a time about should we pivot and do the plant zombies instead of the red
right
shirts, the TOS
yeah.
stuff.
And so we kind of didn't have time to do exactly the costume as we saw in the Strange New Worlds. So we thought, okay, well maybe we split the difference and do the Strange New Worlds uniform. But ultimately we decided to go back to the TOS zombies because it's just such a iconic look, and it's an iconic part of the joke, right?
Hmm.
The whole red shirt joke, and it seemed like to really sell it, it needed to be very TOS themed. Character artists, oh, I blanked on her last name, Elisa. Um, Maybe she doesn't want me to say her last name, but Elisa did a great work on these, um, and I think Mohammed contributed to them a bit too. I think he did the initial like sculpts. So there are new facial sculpts. There are some new hairs. There are some new. We did use some of our torn TOS outfits as a base, but I think it all really came together to a really fun, uh, you know, exciting kind of thematic and whimsical event reward.
Hmm. Hmm. And this is what I teased in a previous stream, that while this isn't directly from Star Trek, it does feel like it's suited to the mythos and to the IP in general. And like as you mentioned, these have appeared in comic books, so it was kind of a happy coincidence that we're doing our IDW tie-in at the same time.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, so summoning zombies is only part of this reward, though. Alex, why don't you introduce the secondary effect of this kit module?
If you happen to, somehow die while using this kit module, you yourself also come back as a zombie, as you can see there. Upon death, return as the Risen Walker, granting access to new abilities for 30 seconds. And after those 30 seconds expire, you perish. So technically, we have another revive in this game outside of the Red Angel suit, but this comes with a caveat. And you can see the costume of the zombie that gets applied to you is dependent on your in-game gender and your class. Sorry, not class, career path. So if you're a tactical officer, you would rise up as a red shirt zombie. And if you're a science,
It
as a
won't be
blue
your
shirt.
exact costume zombified. We thought
Yeah.
earlier about trying to do an overlay like that, but it would get too complex to account for all the player things. But we at least are matching your profession and gender.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again,
And
and that was just part of the joke. Like, just
Mhm.
just this is the old ones playing tricks.
Yep.
So it's more themed into the TOS aspect of it.
And as you can see, you can only benefit from it every 2 minutes. So if you do happen to die while your soul is exhausted,
Mhm.
you do not respawn. Also, as a player zombie, you do gain access to one more ability, which is called LLAP.
Yeah, I was trying
It's
to show it off. For some reason, all the enemies died when I became a
just
zombie.
just write Q player instead. It's going to like Q only you. But wait for the cooldown to refresh. Though.
Oh, right. I'm still exhausted. No, they
Wait,
still
why does
died.
everything die?
I'll just
Interesting.
make some new ones. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because this is a test power. I'm dumb. I got this set up incorrectly. That's all.
When playing God goes wrong.
I know there's some folks out there that actually love watching me play with all of the dev commands live
There's
on the
gonna be
stream.
screenshots going around after this.
Oh no.
Okay, so now if I'll wait 6 more seconds. So I'm no longer exhausted. In the meantime, I'll let my zombies get out here and ravage again.
I think that's so cool.
You
Some people are disappointed that they don't dance, so I guess we missed an opportunity there.
Are you
Stay
sure? Are you
Did
sure?
we?
Are you
Did
sure?
we?
Stay tuned for a bit more.
Ah,
There's a little, there's an extra little bit going on here. Well, we'll get to it.
Yep. Oh yeah, and as you can see,
This-
the zombies are also always randomized, so you're never gonna get the same combination in a row.
They can repeat though. We didn't take any
So yeah, but yeah.
yeah. Okay, let's see. So I can show off the leap is the main thing.
Yep.
Rawr!
I have another
Amazing.
sound bit from my collection.
Bite attack.
This was added to the players because usually the zombies, they're shamblers, so they move a bit slower. But on top of that, since you're moving also a bit slower, you also gain immunity to stun because some works of Star Trek depict zombies as being immune to phasers, but Jeremy did not allow me to do that. He told me to. He told me to make them stun immune instead. So, and that's what the phasers
effect
do.
of phasers, not the phaser damage. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're unable to be stunned alongside you yourself, as long as you're dead.
Yeah. So I mean, you kind of let the cat out of the bag on accident, son of it. Let me move over to Earth Space Dock and show you the last little fun bit of the zombie kit module. Risen Walkers, available tomorrow if you want to buy out, or just play the Halloween event, and you get plenty of opportunities to earn your way towards it.
I'm sorry, I'm just the mouthpiece for the community.
I think though that you're right. If we didn't make the zombies dance, it would have been seen as a missed opportunity. So as soon as my local server actually spins up, it should be only a few seconds here. Fingers crossed. I can
Somebody
show you
asked.
what we actually did.
Somebody asked if you die with this and Red Angel suit equipped, which activates first? I can answer that. The first thing that activates is the Red Angel suit, so you respawn normally. But if you happen to die afterwards, you respawn as a zombie, and then you properly die. So yeah.
Nice.
I do want to call out there's a minor limitation. Don't use the kit module, or I recommend against using the kit module in PvP ground maps because it will count for 2 deaths. You'll die, then you'll come back, and then you'll die again. So that'll give an extra point to the enemy if it's counting kills. Just so everybody's aware. Okay, are you ready for this? I don't think you are.
Get
Start the
ready to
clip.
boogie.
I'm so ready for this. Oh my god!
Triller.
I had not seen that part yet, but this is also a full surprise for me, Michael. That is amazing.
So they only do this in social zones because there's no combat, so you don't need to worry about interrupting it. But yeah, and you can summon them in our space dock. So I look forward to people having zombie dance parties all Halloween long.
The spamming will
It's
be
beautiful.
incredible.
Oh, actually, I almost forgot to mention there are a few other extra rewards from the Halloween event. They don't require you to complete the event, but you will be able to see them. Oh, let me set my date.
We're traveling into the future. Everyone hold on.
I'm traveling to the future.
Hope everyone's using their seatbelts.
1.21 gigawatts.
Okay, so here's the event. But starting on the day when the event goes live, you should also be able to find, not there, in the Reclaim store, under miscellaneous, I believe. Yeah, 3 new emotes. You don't have to complete the event to unlock these, but they are tied to the event, so that's why they're in this store. But you just buy them with a little bit of Lobi crystal. They are, I don't think I have them on this character. Oh man, I'm unprepared.
Oh no.
Let me double check here. Agree. Is it unlocked? Oh, I do. Okay. Okay. Just give me a second, and I can show these new emotes off. So the first is called Agree.
Have you seen that
It's a
meme
pretty-
with the doctor?
Yeah, with McCoy.
Yeah, this is based on the meme with McCoy and Kirk nodding aggressively at each other.
Right.
I approve of this. This is great.
It's a good one. It's a very good one.
Okay. I want to save the portal for last. What was the other one? I've forgotten already.
It was a second version of Thriller. It was like a different part of Thriller.
Oh yeah. So it's one of the dances. I think we call it Walker Shuffle. Yeah. So this is just a section of the Thriller dance that we put a little bit more motion into.
Oh my
And it
god.
doesn't loop.
that dude. I like how you started like dancing and then that dude walked up to you and is like talking to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, let me join on the fun.
So the other Thriller dance that already exists in the game is a loop, but if you just want to do a quick little jiggle, then that one's for you. And then the last one is called Portal Pull. This one is also kind of a meme inspired. I think I'll just let it speak for itself.
It's just gone.
I might want to patch it. I was hoping that it like nothing would happen. You would just stay disappeared until you moved.
Yeah.
So I would talk about that and see if we can get that to work.
Perfect for us to
yeah,
hide and seek.
I think this is from Schisms.
Yeah.
My only thought about that is like, what if some players like just hide themselves permanently? Then like,
Oh, that's okay. I mean, I envisioned it as an AFK mode, right? So you're like,
Yeah.
I'm going AFK, so you use the
Yeah.
portal pole, and then you're just
Well, it's
invisible until.
like any of our remotes. There's an animation layer set up so if you interrupt it, it just skips to the end. So
Right.
yeah. Let's see
But
if
if we
we
can
make
have
it
the,
indefinite.
yeah, that'd be
I
great.
must go. My world needs me.
Then as soon as you move, that it does the reset.
Yeah, somebody
let's see
just
if we can do that.
asked what the meme was that this is based on.
It's
actually
it's one of Kirk, or not Kirk, Riker in bed being pulled into
Right.
a rift.
It's from an episode of TNG called Schisms, right? With the Solanae, the subspace creatures that abduct Enterprise crew members to experiment on them, and they pull them into a glowy portal like this. And so I thought it'd be a fun Halloween emote to do, especially if we could turn it into, again, just as a really silly way of going AFK. So
Indefinitely.
hopefully we can
Yeah.
can work that out.
I see the
And that's
players
what
are
we've
really
got.
loving it.
Okay, so you can buy these emotes for 20 low buy a piece as soon as the update comes out tomorrow.
So stay tuned.
Oh, I don't know if we've mentioned Sona, but just to reinforce for anybody that's watching, the Halloween event is also going live on console platforms on the same day, which I think we've done in the past, but just to confirm that that is the case. And that includes these new rewards and the emotes and the Omega.
Yep, so all of you guys can enjoy these emotes tomorrow. I hope to join social spaces and see zombies dancing and people disappearing into portals.
And
Yes,
agreeing with
last
one
time.
another.
Yes. I love when they match like that. It's like, oh, the perfect match background dancers. All right. Wait. I think we could do
Everybody
this for
try out your
hours.
best Michael Jackson cosplay for the Halloween event.
Yes, please.
Oh, you want to dance? No.
No.
I love how they all leave. They're like, no, I'm not getting involved in that.
Goddamn weirdos.
All right. Are there any questions that we need to answer before we wrap this up for the day?
We should mention, I think, as some people were asking, I don't remember if we said it. We might have said it once, but the Omega will be in the Infinity lockbox. It'll be added to the Infinity lockbox tomorrow. And then the zombies are the event reward for the Fall of the Old Ones event.
Mhm.
And yeah, and then those emotes are in the Lobby store, or well, in the Reclaim store.
In the event store. I might
Event store.
add them to the low bias store just to make them easier to find, but I wanted them to
I think, yeah,
feel as though they're part of the event,
yeah,
even though it
that
doesn't
makes
require
sense.
event completion to buy them.
Multiple people are asking whether the zombie emotes are account-wide or per character.
They are per character. Any of our emote unlocks are per character.
Is your answer?
So get your low buy ready.
Oh, we have one question. The crawling out of the ground animation, was that difficult to do for the zombies?
Actually, yes.
Yeah.
It took a lot of iteration to get this right. Timing issues, animation issues, VFX issues, and how the dirt cleans up afterwards. There's a lot that goes into this sort of things that a lot of players don't really notice, but that's good. The less you notice about the difficulties that we had in setting it up, the more we've solved, and the more proud we can be of our work.
Somebody did ask about customization on the Omega. It was something that we talked a lot about. Like, should we try to put it on the Theseus skeleton? Should we try to put it on a Constitution skeleton? There are a lot of weird things about it that made me feel like it was most appropriate to keep it by itself. A lot of the effects you guys see, a lot of the extra materials and stuff, it just didn't quite gel with anything we already had. Keen, if you want to talk more about that.
Yeah, so because of all of the additional effects which were done by Andrew Nielsen, like the sort of like Borg steam coming off the nacelles and the special engine trills, like Thomas decided that we should not have it go on an existing skeleton, and I agree. It would have been pretty daunting to put it on, say, the Discovery Constitution or TOS Constitution, uh, which I know players want customization in the ship, and so that's why with the Omega I included the vanity nacelle option. So if you like vanity shields and you don't want the animated elements as part of nacelles, you can choose to use the vanity nacelle option and have shields applied to that. And as mentioned earlier, there's options for your registry to show up as well. And it's minimal, but I wanted players to have a bit of customization for it. And I know it's something that Thomas and I want to do for ships going forward, that if we do have like glowing facades that are animated, or the STO era style orange facades, we want to have players be given the option to have vanity versions of them. And yeah, Jeremy can show in the ship Taylor, you can see you can change the saucer to have registry or without. And for the nacelles, you can choose if you want the registry on them, which was in the concept art, if you want it to be vanity, or if you want both.
It is a Federation ship, so people should be aware that there's a huge list of materials still available to them.
In addition to all the default materials, it also comes with the 32nd Century Starfleet material, the Janeway material, as well as its own Omega material.
Yeah. So despite not being interchangeable with any other Constitutions or Theseus, there's still a number of customization options available to you.
What's the Windows situation on this guy? I honestly forgot.
Default
right, so
plus
you got
the Omega.
Cool. Right on.
And then, of course, normal patterns and things. Yeah. Okay, I think we've done everything, Sana, unless there's any questions from chat.
I think we covered most of them. Yes, there will be a very fun reward for the feast event. Please keep an eye out on Discord and our socials. We're gonna start dropping some hints relatively soon. And besides
I think the feast starts as soon as the Halloween event ends. I think they're almost back to back.
Yes,
there might be a red alert between them, but it's going to come up quicker than some of you might think.
And we will, of course, have a stream for that too.
So I've seen a repeated question. It might be the same guy asking over and over. Does kit performance affect the zombies' health? I don't think it does, but it's a good point. It would allow them to be more effective at higher difficulties. So that might be something we can look into as a post-release patch for them.
Yes, back to the drawing board.
It should affect their damage output.
It does.
I hope it does. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then of course cooldown reductions. Kit what's it called? Kit readiness will also reduce the cooldown on it.
That's a given.
We're not talking about the Feast event more just yet. You guys will have to stay tuned.
Yes, you'll have to stay tuned, but we will start dropping some hints soon, and there will of course be a stream soon about it. Next week we might be here. I'll drop an announcement with the stream news if we are. Otherwise, there will be a stream on the 4th of November with a new ship reveal, so you can already look forward to that. And
Another new ship.
Another new ship, and then on the 11th of November we will have another new ship on stream. So lots of cool new ships to look forward to, lots of cool new items and events. So get ready for tomorrow's stream, and we're gonna say goodnight for now. Not tomorrow's stream, tomorrow's release, please. But I am gonna be on Discord doing maintenance tomorrow, and of course after. Some of us are usually around, so if there's any issues with the release, any bugs, anything you see, or if you just really love the ship and the emotes and everything that comes with it, or just want to show off your zombies, feel free to do that in our Discord. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks all.
All right, captains, welcome back here on the bridge, and that was just the recent Deca stream there. An interesting one, to say the least. Just some ECs, as ECs will be dropped as the blog news comes out anyways. But the Omega ship, I kinda am sort of, I don't want to use the word disappointed. That's not the word that I want to use. It's just the enthusiasm for the ship and what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing are for me, it's two different things. What I'm seeing here, let me just pause this. What I'm seeing is a ship that looks like the Connie, and I can't get over that. It just looks like the original Constitution, and that's not necessarily a bad thing for some. For me, it just looks like a Connie, right? I love the Borgified details, the warp core showing off of the secondary hull. I thought that was really cool. So again, kudos to the work. In terms of performance, I am, wow, okay, so rear facing is a thing. It's not. For a majority of players, especially if we're talking about meta. Now, I'm not the be and end all when it comes to meta. We're going to leave that up to our good friend Casual SAB to see what he has to say. Regardless, the trait, the console, not for me. Is that ship even on the list? Maybe at the very bottom, just to probably have one day, but not today or not tomorrow when it releases. So again, ECs on that. Halloween rewards, I will just say that's even better. That's probably the highlight of the stream for me. Sorry, before going into that, great that the IW people were there. It was good. Their enthusiasm was there. I loved it, along with our devs with them. So I don't want to just gloss over that part. So I am appreciative of that. And that there may be a feature video, or maybe me just clipping a video of what we talked about on a recent stream about upcoming ships. Because on ships, yeah, we hear there's 2 ships coming out and something to look forward to. But for me, Caps, there's not a lot of ships that I'm looking forward to in terms of what I've seen on screen right now. But anyways, going back to the Halloween rewards, love it. Love the zombies. I absolutely am excited for those, along with the emotes. More so just the zombies. The reward, I think, is awesome. It's really going to be interesting to see what social zones is going to look like, and or if we have a party on the bridge. Can you imagine a whole bridge of dancing zombies? We're going to make it happen, captains. We're going to make a video. We're going to show it off. Captains who want to join me on the bridge, we'll do that live on either the YouTube and or Twitch bridge. And we'll just do a segment of captains summoning the Halloween rewards and dancing there aft off. But with that said, we're going to leave the video here. This is more just, again, just to get this stream out to you, Caps. We'll go over the blogs for each of the things that was covered here when they come out. Look out for a separate video on that. So with that said, do us a favor, hit the like button, comment below, let us know your favorite part of this stream. Let me know what you think of the Omega. I'm more interested, to be honest, in how you captains think about that, or what you captains think about that. And of course, if you're new, consider subscribing to the YouTube bridge, and we'll leave it on this note.
Live long and prosper.